So let's try to get back on point here. What I was going to talk about was how, quote-unquote, democracy, which we all know is a financial controlled, corrupt system, but even if it wasn't, the idea of the original Greek idea, or maybe societies did it before then, but our recorded history doesn't say that, because our recorded history is kind of a sham. But even the idea of democracy isn't really as great as people consider it to be. This isn't a pro-communist, socialist democracy thing at all. This is a fact. Democracy is a system based on the lesser of the evils. In other words, there's always people that are going to lose out because their vote wasn't the popular vote. See what I'm saying? Which means not everybody is happy in that system. It's the lesser of the evil. It's like the current political money-based democracy in our system, in our society now. When you vote for a president, you're usually voting for the lesser of the evil, because anybody that has any true intentions for change or reform of the system won't even be allowed to get up to the point where they're voted for. Or if they are, the votes aren't even counted accurately, and most of the time they aren't counted accurately, and there's no way for the citizens to prove that, even though they think they are. You see all these huge debates on these social forums like Facecake and shit, and about, if you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain, and go support your, do this and that, and blah blah, and it's all just a big sham. You do have a right to complain. You don't have to be forced to use the only system they force you to use. You get it? Don't tell me all this, if you didn't vote, you can't complain shit. That's just stupid. You complain about the whole system in the first place. It's on the verge of people doing something with that Occupy movement, but that just gets laughed at and scoffed at. It's a bunch of fucking hippies smoking dope in the park. Because, I mean, when you look at the news, it was a bunch of, 30% of them were these dipshits, homeless people and, street kids that would just go and hang out with these people and do drugs and mess it up. They're probably done. They're probably, put there on purpose to screw the movement up in the first place. I mean, it's good that people are doing that. There's huge rioting going on all over the rest of the world now. In Europe, they riot. Middle East, they riot. Africa, they riot. Yeah, but democracy is a system based on the lesser of two evils. I don't know what type. I'm not saying I had the idea of what system it should be. Actually, it shouldn't even really have to be a system, to tell you the truth. We should be evolved enough emotionally and mentally that we just naturally work together and accept each other, and we have a good cohesion as a species. And we realize we're all living on the same ball in space. And there's other balls in space out there in other dimensions, which science is finally catching on to, that are actually out there and legitimate. And seeing as there's other dimensions, there's probably other life in other dimensions. And sometimes these dimensions can cross over and mingle together. But we should be able to be emotionally healthy enough, which they don't teach you at all in school. You might get a couple psychology classes and a few more if you major in it in university and college. But that's what they should focus on. Probably about 65-70% of what your education should be is the human emotion condition. So that would, if people knew how to deal with their anger and see what their problems were stemming from, and their anxieties and their fear and their, or their codependencies or whatever worries, then they would know how to think properly and adjust accordingly to have a more productive, happy life. And then the whole society would gradually change to a more happy society. Probably more creative too. And would come up, and our advancements would get better. Our technologies would get way better than they are now. Our thinking would get better. Our communication, language would change. We'd have a new way of communicating with, it'd be interesting. And then we'd look back at these archaic systems and be like, wow, that was interesting. I guess that's what we needed to evolve, but how come we got stuck there for 10,000, 12,000 years in that same pattern? You know, it's like hopefully we can break that pattern and take a big leap forward, because we've been going up and down, back and forth, the same rungs of the same ladder for a long time. And we think we're more advanced than we were 2,000 years ago, but it's really the same structure. We just have a couple more toys and more people and a few more comforts. But it's the same system though. Alright, hey.